Hello and welcome to this Independence Day special broadcast of World Business Watch. My name is Mohammed Saleh. So as India celebrated 77th year of independence, here's a look at the country's economic transformation.
Until 1991, socialist and capitalist systems coexisted. The Indian government controlled all key industries. Private businesses needed permissions to operate. Mixed economy sought the best of both systems. But that plan weighed heavy on economic development. Ultimately, the 1991 crisis transformed India.
Now, overall, India's economy has in fact shown a lot of resilience amid some difficult circumstances, giving it the potential to become the next global superpower. So let's take a quick peek at the history to understand some of India's economic success stories.
Economic growth in India has been robust, diverse and sustainable over the long term. India's economy has been gradually expanding with no significant or prolonged slowdowns along the way, barring a few hiccups here and there. Growth averaged 4.4% annually during the 1970s and 1980s. It gradually increased to about 5.5% through the 1990s and early 2000s. And over the previous decade, it averaged around 7%. The rate of growth has been picking up steam, and it's not just the GDP. The recent decade had an annualized per capita growth rate of 5.5%. India's consistent acceleration of growth stands out as unusual when compared to other major economies. This is due in part to the economy moving towards the services sector, where development is more stable. The dramatic improvement in GDP growth stability after 1991 is especially intriguing. Before that, growth picked up every once in a while, but it was erratic and did not broadly last. Liberalization has resulted in not just faster development but also steadier growth. India has shown a general resilience to shocks of both internal and foreign origin. India's growth stability may be linked to the size and geographical diversity of the country's economy. It has so many different types of exports and trading partners, making the country less vulnerable to broader economic slowdowns. High, persistent growth across all sectors was the result of the combined impact of key reforms made in the 1990s and early 2000s. Going ahead, maintaining such growth for the next 3 decades is essential if at least half of Indians are to join the global middle class. This is not a simple task, as shown by the fact that most nations with rapid development faced slowdowns within a few years. However, India's impressive economic history provides support for its predicted future prosperity. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's now embark on an insightful journey through India's economic trajectory since 1991. Now, this period stands as a testament to India's remarkable transition from adversity to eminence, carving its presence on the world map.
We can divide India's journey since 1947 into 2 distinct parts, before 1991 and after 1991. While the period until 1991 was focused on rebuilding from the ground up and eradicating poverty, India transitioned into a growth phase, becoming a significant player on the global stage post-1991. The aftermath of the 1991 reforms saw the Indian economy stabilize to achieving a remarkable growth of 7.5% from 1994 to 1997. Successive governments embraced economic liberalization, leading to consistent growth. Post-1997, the country faced several speed bumps. Let's take a look at a few. India faced challenges like the Asian financial crisis, droughts, and global uncertainties, but the country has been resilient. GDP growth fluctuated, reaching a peak of over 9% annually from 2005 to 2008. However, post-2010, issues like collapse in infrastructure models, bank losses, and policy delays posed new challenges. Notable reforms occurred post-2014, including demonetization and the GST. A recent Morgan Stanley report projects a new cycle in manufacturing, indicating a positive outlook for India's economic future. However, despite strong economic growth, India lags in social indicators like education, health and nutrition, trailing behind even poorer countries like Bangladesh and Nepal. So while India's economic growth has been exciting, its social development still needs a significant boost.
As we reflect on India's journey since 1947, we see two distinct chapters. A nation rising from the ashes before 1991 and a dynamic global player emerging thereafter. The pivotal reforms of 91 paved the way for stability and growth, while challenges tested India's mettle. The reforms of 91 were the stepping stones to India's progress on the global stage. Now, as we look ahead, a promising growth cycle beckons, painting a bright economic future. However, a crucial narrative unfolds beyond numbers, highlighting the need to uplift social development in education, health, and nutrition. India's narrative is one of resilience, progress, and the ongoing pursuit of holistic prosperity.
While the Indian economy is poised to in fact outperform the other major economies over the next few years, there are several challenges that the government faces, and amongst them is inclusive growth for all. Take a look to find out more.
India may be on the cusp of becoming a highly developed nation, but some challenges could stifle that possibility. Economic inequality, the gender gap in the workforce and pay, and rampant corruption loom as formidable barriers to progress. Inequality, a persistent issue, casts a shadow on India's economic growth. While the nation's economy soars, the gap between the rich and marginalized widens. This unequal distribution of wealth not only fosters social tensions but also stifles innovation, hindering the country's economic potential. The gender gap further compounds India's economic woes. Despite its historical legacy of powerful women leaders, the modern workplace remains skewed. Few women hold leadership positions, and a persistent wage gap hampers progress. This disparity curtails economic growth by depriving industries of diverse perspectives and skills. To confront these challenges, comprehensive measures are essential. India stands at a crossroads, facing critical challenges that demand immediate attention. By cultivating a more equitable society, the country can unlock its full economic potential and emerge as a global force. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
India's rising influence on the global stage cannot be ignored. While most countries at this moment are struggling with rising inequality and infertility, India may be in a unique position that guarantees growth. Here's why.
With a median age of 28, India boasts one of the youngest populations globally. This translates into a substantial workforce and a relatively smaller dependent population, creating what experts term a demographic dividend. This dividend means that the productive workforce can generate more goods and services that are consumed, allowing for strategic investments in crucial sectors like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. The prospects are promising. By 2030, India's working age population is projected to expand by 200 million. However, this isn't the only ace up India's sleeve. The growing middle class is another key player in India's economic evolution. With the ability to spend on various goods and services, the middle class fuels economic growth like no other. In fact, by 2030, India's middle class is expected to swell by 400 million, creating an expansive market that further bolsters the economy. These twin engines position India for a remarkable journey towards becoming a global economic force. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
As India celebrates its 77th year since independence, we look at the country's achievements in the digital space. This special report traces how India has transformed itself from a largely offline society to a digital powerhouse.
Gone are the days when Indians were dependent on low-latency internet to accomplish simple tasks. Today, India is one of the largest and fastest-growing digital economies in the world. There are over 750 million internet users in India, and that is expected to reach 1 billion by 2025. The country is also a major hub for digital innovation with a thriving startup ecosystem. The digital revolution has made it easier for people to access essential services such as education and healthcare. It has also created new opportunities for businesses and entrepreneurs. One of the key drivers of India's digital revolution has been the government's push to make digital payments more accessible and affordable. The Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, is a real-time payment system that allows users to make instant payments to anyone with a bank account in India. UPI has been a huge success with over 500 million transactions processed every month. UPI has also gone global with tie-ups in place with banks in countries like Singapore, the United States, Australia, Canada, Hong Kong, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE and the UK. The digital revolution is making things more inclusive for those who are not in the mainstream. For example, UPI has made it easier for people in rural areas to make payments without the need to visit a bank. It has also made it easier for women to access financial services. The digital revolution is a sign of the country's progress and its bright future. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The Indian stock market today is one of the most vibrant. It has a wide range of companies from Fortune 100 to small startups. And now, analysts think that Indian markets will outperform all of their peers. But did you know that the seeds of this great achievement were in fact sown more than 100 years ago? Take a look at this report.
The Indian stock market is one of the busiest in the world today. Thousands of orders are placed every hour via the internet. But the start of its journey was quite modest. The Indian stock market can trace its roots back to the late 18th century when a group of cotton merchants in Mumbai began trading in shares of cotton mills. In 1875, these merchants formed the Native Share and Stockbrokers Association, which later became the Bombay Stock Exchange BSE. The BSE is the oldest stock exchange in Asia and the 10th oldest in the world. The Calcutta Stock Exchange was founded in 1908, followed by the Madras Stock Exchange in 1920. These early stock exchanges were largely unregulated and prone to speculation and manipulation. In 1957, the Government of India passed the Securities Contracts Regulation Act (SCRA), which established the Securities and Exchange Board of India (SEBI) to regulate the stock market. The SCRA brought about several reforms in the Indian stock market, including the introduction of a common trading platform, the automation of trading, and the creation of a framework for investor protection. In the 1990s, the Indian stock market underwent a major transformation with the launch of the National Stock Exchange. The NSE was the first electronic stock exchange in India, and it quickly became the most popular trading platform in the country. The NSE's success led to a boom in the Indian stock market, and the Sensex index rose by over 1,000% in the 1990s. The Indian stock market experienced a major setback in 2008 when the global financial crisis led to a sharp decline in share prices. The Sensex lost over 50% of its value in the space of a few months. However, the market recovered quickly, and the Sensex index has reached new heights in recent years. The future of the Indian stock market looks bright. The country has a young, growing population, rising middle class, and strong economy. These factors are likely to continue to attract investors to the Indian stock market, and the market is expected to grow in the years to come. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
India's diplomats have been the unsung heroes of India's growth story. One key aspect in attaining global supremacy is diplomacy. And India's transformation from a help-seeking nation to a help-giving nation is an inspirational story.
Diplomacy is not just political and military relations. The times have changed now. It is a more interconnected and interdependent world where trade and economy act as the glue holding the world together. The focus now is on increasing trade and investments through the state, which is economic diplomacy. India's diplomatic corps have been among the finest exponents of this increasingly popular skill set. Economic diplomacy has always been a part of India's foreign policy. But before 1991, when India opened its economy to the world, economic diplomacy largely meant seeking development aid from the West. As India began reorienting its economy since 1991, economic diplomacy has grown in importance, helping India become a magnet for foreign investments. The growing significance of economic diplomacy in India is directly linked to the country's private sector boom. In 2021, India's overseas investment, largely driven by the private sector, stood at over $12 billion. That's a number unimaginable about 3 decades ago. But India's diplomacy has many interesting facets to it. These include a vibrant development assistance program called IDEAS, greater engagement with the 30 million strong diaspora, and subnational diplomacy where India's states woo global businesses. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
India's rising influence as a global trade partner could just be the biggest boost for several economies that include the United Kingdom, which once had colonized India. Take a look to find out more.
In 2022, India was the world's third largest importer and the fifth largest exporter. India's trade partners are diverse, with the United States, China, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia being the top 4. India is also a member of the World Trade Organization and the G20. India is also becoming a more attractive destination for foreign investment as the government has made a number of reforms to improve the business climate. India is becoming an increasingly important trade partner for countries around the world, in particular countries that are looking to reduce their reliance on China. For example, the United States has been working to strengthen its trade ties with India in recent years. In 2020, the two countries signed a comprehensive trade agreement that is expected to boost trade between them by $100 billion over the next 5 years. The European Union is also looking to increase its trade with India through a free trade agreement. India is already the UK's 12th largest trading partner, and the two countries are working to negotiate a free trade agreement. It would also help the UK reduce its reliance on China. The UK's interest in India as a trade partner, it's not new. The UK colonized India for over 200 years. But in recent years, the UK has been looking to India to help it revive its economy. The UK economy has been struggling since the 2008 financial crisis, and it has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. India's rapidly expanding market makes it an important trade partner for countries that are struggling to find growth and tame inflation. Bureau Report WION World is One.
India has come a long way in its economic journey. Once dismissed as a begging bowl, India is now among the top economies of the world, shaping not just its own destiny but of the world too. Yes, India faces a lot of challenges and they need to be addressed before India can march towards greatness. But with a young and vibrant population of India of 21st century, they have the potential to overcome all odds and rise like a phoenix. With India tipped to be the world's second largest economy by 2075, it is just a matter of time before the 21st century becomes India's century. With camera person Sujay Das, I am Adya Juneja, and here at WION, we wish you a very happy Independence Day.
And with that, it's a wrap on this special Independence Day edition of World Business Watch. This is Mohammed Saleh signing off, and we wish you a very happy Independence Day. Thanks for watching.